Will Bronny James get drafted this evening? We shall see. What team's he going to go to? And will LeBron be a member of that team immediately after Bron gets drafted somewhere? We have no idea, but what we do know is 3 of the top 10 picks, including the first 2 last night, were French.
Yep.
Whoa.
1, 2, and 6. 3 of the top 10. English is their second language. French is their first language. This obviously follows last year where Wembanyama was the number 1 overall pick, and then he learned how to play in the NBA and started dominating absolutely everybody.
Yep.
You start going through the list, it's like, wait a minute, the French can ball. So then I start thinking about the piece of information that I learned yesterday that the USA lost to Lithuania in the World Cup. I didn't know Lithuania played basketball. I didn't even know they had a team. I had no idea. Vakaitis, semi-pro.
Right,
The only Lithuanian basketball thing I've ever heard. He scored too much. Jackie Moon had to pay everybody in the building corn dogs because that was the promotion. That's the only thought I had of Lithuania and Lithuania basketball. They beat the United States this past offseason.
Whoa.
So now going to the Olympics, we got a revamped team, a couple more people, but we got Lithuania potentially knocking us out. Think about this. Think about this French basketball team in 2028.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of size.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Not great.
Like, is this a Sean McVay situation?
Oh.
Where every team is just hoping that they find a Wemby somehow? Like, yeah, he's not 7'6", but he's still Wemby. You know, he's got
Could be.
he came through the same leagues as Wemby. He understands the game of basketball as much as Wemby. You know, these French basketball players, you know, can do this. And obviously, I wasn't the only person to start thinking this on the internet. NBA champion Trace is Wemby got all France getting drafted, and then Cameron Hayes saying, he's going to single-handedly give 5 GMs fired.
Chance.
But this is what happened in the NFL when Sean McVay had success. Every owner was just like, excuse me, you had a sip of tea with Sean McVay? Well, you're our new head coach. And how about you? You were once in a meeting room in which Sean McVay was teaching football. Yeah, you're our new head coach. If this is what's happening with the whole Wemby situation, that's wild. But what's much more likely is the fact that the French kind of development system in basketball is seemingly awesome. These dudes are going to take over the entire league. Now, obviously, you think about Luka and Joker and everything happening around that conversation and who's the next face of the league. Well, these French guys, you know what they say about the French? Super smooth.
That's right. That's right.
Like Wemby's going to take over.
What? Yeah.
Wemby's already got the alien logo. He's going to move so much merch. So the French are just going to be kind of like naturally taking over basketball. And then all these guys are going to be phenomenal, I assume. I assume all these guys are going to be good. You don't go 1, 2 or whatever. And the NBA draft, I guess, is much more hit or miss than any other draft because it takes a special person to make it to the NBA. There's only so many spots. But look out, we're in a French world now. This is the FBA.
Oh, no.
We are in the French Basketball Association. That's what I learned last night.
I refuse to believe that.
Think about what the 2031 Frenchman is going to look like. Because last night, a couple 2031 draft picks were traded. And obviously, it's a big conversation piece. But Shams Charania had told us a few weeks ago that although people think the Phoenix Suns are completely screwed, the French invasion, this is real. 3 of the top 10 picks come from France, and obviously Wemby last year, number 1 overall, and everybody's expecting him to go on and take over the entire NBA, both on the defensive side and the offensive side for the San Antonio Spurs, who also had a good night last night. Let's talk about the French invasion, though. I saw the internet obviously talking about the Sean McVay effect, where in the NFL, once Sean McVay had success as a young offensive-minded head coach, anybody that was around him got head coaching jobs because owners were like, we would like that. This isn't just because Wemby is the next guy. This is because the French have phenomenal basketball development and academies over there? And has this always been the case, Shams?
It's because the skill level is so high. Talking to NBA teams, talking to people around the league, especially last night in the days leading up to the draft, they point to the way that they develop players there. These guys are facing pro players. They're in pro leagues. They're being developed in pro atmospheres so young in their amateur life. And you think about how that compares and contrasts to players coming up here in America. It's a lot of AAU, and especially now there's a lot of brand building. There's a lot of attention drawn off the court. Whereas when you're abroad, when you're Zachary Risache, I was looking at even his Instagram account. Like, he's going to no doubt gain a ton of Instagram followers and social media followers throughout his NBA career. The Atlanta Hawks really believe they found a player that has such a high upside and can be a rotational player from day one, but he doesn't have the followings of the Jared McCains and different players in this NBA draft. And that's not a knock at the American players. it's just the way that the NBA teams scout those prospects there. They point to the skill level and the way the players develop in the pro atmosphere at such a young age.
We just chatted about Dalton Knecht. Obviously, he was the complete opposite about being developing at a young age. It seems like he had a little bit of an extendo period time in college, and then when we get introduced to him at Tennessee late in the year, we all think to ourselves, this guy is lightning. This is a guy that's must-watch television, can create his own shot, and was good. And I think the Tennessee folks obviously loved him. He called his year down there in Knoxville the greatest year of his life, I believe, last night on a couple different occasions.
That looks like a young that really looks like a young Bogdan Bogdanovic, the Atlanta Hawks. If you see the way he shoots, like the way his shot is, like they're really high on him. And I don't know if it was the age.
Why do you fall? Yeah, that was going to be my question. Okay, so you're wondering the same exact thing here. Why do you think he fell? Because I saw that being a narrative on the internet. Aside from everybody getting cooked, there was jokes everywhere last night for the NBA draft. Might have been one of the greatest internet events in some time. If to be clear, with the mostly X, the jokes that are flying on X about the entire draft about people that I've never heard of. So obviously, people that are much more clever than I. Bang, we're hitting home runs. But one of the narratives was like, what happened to Dalton Knecht? How'd this entire thing take place? Because I think he even had odds to be number one overall at one point, and then he falls all the way down. What happened with that? What legitimately happened?
I mean, the age thing is the one factor when I talk to NBA teams since day one of the draft ended last night. Off the top of my head,
let's see, 23
years old.
So you get to the point where you're 22 and beyond. I mean, I guess they want to hold that against you. But, I mean, the Lakers had no idea that – I mean, truly, teams say it after the draft, like, we didn't know he'd get here. This is the guy we wanted all along. I don't think anyone in that Lakers war room last night had any idea that Dalton Knecht would be available for them at 17. When I talk to people around the league about him, I mean, this is a guy that's a gym rat, obviously plays the right way. You see the way he shoots the ball. LeBron James literally gave him a shout-out 2 months ago, and that obviously rings true. Like, you have to think about that when you think about the Lakers. Rob Pelinka said last night, J.J. Redick's already drawing up pin-down plays for him, out-of-bounds plays for him, off screen. So he's someone that has some moxie to him. He's got some swag to him, and I think you need that if you're a player that's going to play for the Lakers and try to be someone that's going to play immediately. And they view him that way. Last year, their rookie, Jalen Hood-Schifino, he was not that way, but they really view Dalton Knecht as someone that can play for them from day one.
Kind of a ricochet shot to old buddy from last year. Let's talk about Dalton Knecht here. So you said J.J. Redick. It was reported this morning that J.J. Redick started drawing up plays immediately after drafting him for Rob Pelinka, saying, oh, this is all the shit that we could do with this guy. I assume they didn't do any of that or prepare for him at all because of what you mentioned earlier, where they didn't think that he would fall to them. So they're excited as hell that he's going to be there. And you said LeBron James gave him a shout out before him. LeBron James hosted a podcast with the new coach, gave a shout out to their new draft pick. Is his kid also going to get drafted then tonight to the Lakers? Do they have a pick tonight? And how does that entire situation kind of work out, you think? Because obviously, Bronny James was not drafted in the first round last night. I believe when you came on our show like 3 months ago, whenever we first started talking about this, you said that the Lakers are not scared to spend the second round draft pick on Bronny James. I believe was the initial conversation was that he was a second rounder. Then I think everything just started heating up and people are going to go first round. News cycle kind of got a little crazy. And then obviously last night there's people trying to bury Bronny for not getting drafted in the first round. But I don't think that was ever the actual real expectations for it all. What are the expectations for Bronny tonight, and what is the storyline going to be?
Certainly the expectation is for him to get drafted tonight or today in round 2. For everything around Bronny James throughout this pre-draft process, his agent Rich Paul at Clutch Sports, like, it's been about investment. Finding a team that's willing and wants to invest in multi-year contract in him. He worked out for 2 NBA teams, Pat. I think we talked about this on the show, I want to say a month ago. The Phoenix Suns, who had the 22 pick, they moved back. They got 28. They have a pick in the second round as well. We'll see what they do with that. The Suns and the Lakers, those are the 2 teams, and that was intentional, finding teams that believed in him, wanted to invest a multi-year contract in him. And the way that Rich Paul handled Chris Livingston last year, I think you have to look at that when you think about a guy like Bronny James, who, if you're trying to position him to a specific team or a specific spot where, in this case, could it be the Lakers at 55? Would not surprise me if at any point in the second round there's going to be calls made to be like, listen, don't draft him. He's got his spot already. Let him continue to pass you by, because I think the way that they've handled this process from the beginning is it's not going to be just a two-way contract or a question of where he's going to end up in the G League or whatever. It's being on the roster and being on a multi-year contract, and I expect that to be the case for Bronny James. The question is where. And obviously, going into the second round, talking to NBA teams, 55, if the Lakers are there and Bronny's still on the board, that's the guy that a lot of people expect at 55. But we'll see if anyone is shrewd enough or believes in Bronny James enough today as this draft goes on to really step up for him with that investment.